are here because the outside world rejects you.
Sometimes there are moments where the stars align, where fate takes the wheel and destiny decides to weave a tale so grand, so epic that it shakes the very foundation of our world. For fans of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that time is now. Everything is falling into place. Destiny has spoken. As many of you might have heard, an R-rated live-action Ninja Turtles The Last Ronin movie is in the works. This feels like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to show the world that a dark and gritty live-action Ninja Turtles movie can really shine. Many fans have been clamoring for this since the original 1990 Ninja Turtles movie, the one that started it all, and now we're finally getting it. You almost get the sense that they have to, for lack of a better term, get it right for us to get more dark and gritty Ninja Turtles on the big or small screen in the future. And so, for my love of dark and gritty Ninja Turtles and The Last Ronin story, I want to go ahead and put this wish list together of 10 things that we here at the channel would like to see in this Last Ronin movie. It's probably a long shot, but if anyone that's involved in the making of this movie happens to see this video, please make the fans' dreams come true. If this is done right, it'll feed families for generations. So let's go ahead, waste no more time, grab a slice of pizza, and dive into the sewers, because we're going to take a look at 10 things we want to see in the Last Ronin movie. First, starting off, this one's kind of random and is more on the technical side, but bear with me. I feel like some of this is important and not often talked about, so let's run through it. Let's talk about how this film should look and feel, the actual aesthetics and sounds of the movie, the overall mood. When it comes to the lighting, the best example out there is from the original 1990 Ninja Turtles movie. I would have the cinematographers and lighting people look at that for inspiration. The movie looks dark, and they hit the turtles with harsh lighting sources, which gives you all these cool shadows and makes the area around them look dark and gritty, and the turtles just look cool in this type of environment. And this same approach I feel like would fit the atmosphere of The Last Ronin. This would also do a good job of hiding the imperfections of the turtle suits or CGI, whatever direction they decide to take, and I have my opinions on that. We'll get to that at the end. But yeah, dark shadows, harsh lighting sources, and a gritty atmosphere. Wet the floors, fog up the environment. Don't make it all bright and clean and saturate the colors the way movies do nowadays. The turtles don't look good in that type of environment. Again, look at the 1990 movie for inspiration when it comes to this. Give it that old school 90s film look. Now, lumping into this mood, atmosphere topic, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the soundtrack as well. I would look at movies like John Wick and Blade Runner 2049 for inspiration. Movies like that, especially when we're in this futuristic, gritty New York. A cyberpunk and synthwave style soundtrack would be awesome in my opinion, mixed with like traditional Japanese music as well, especially when they actually go over to Japan to meet up with the Foot Clan. But yeah, even hints of it sprinkled throughout the movie would be cool. Anyways, all of this combined, I feel will make it feel true to the environment they built in the book, and at the same time make the turtles feel like they did all that time ago when that first movie came out and Turtle Mania took the world by storm. They never really made another movie that looked quite like that, and I feel like it's one of the reasons that movie did so well, and I think this R-rated live-action Ninja Turtles The Last Ronin movie has the potential to raise that bar that was set so long ago. Number 2, the martial arts. The martial arts and fight choreography in this movie need to be top-notch. These are the Ninja Turtles. They're ninja, and so are their enemies. This seems to be something that's forgotten about sometimes when it comes to the Turtles. Movies like Ip Man, John Wick, the Raid movies, Kill Bill, all come to mind when I think of the martial arts that I would like to see in this movie. The strikes need to be quick and fast, the impact of the strikes need to feel heavy, and this is where most of the R rating should be implemented. You don't have to go over the top gory, but show some blood. The Last Ronin comic did this element well, and it's one of the reasons it's so popular. Also, side note, if I remember correctly, throughout the fight scenes in the book, the Last Ronin would have an internal monologue going on with himself as he was fighting. If they keep this element from the book, I think it would be cool. Now, speaking of keeping elements from the book, number 3, stick to the story. This Last Ronin movie could really turn out to be something special, and it would be a real shame if things from the book are drastically changed. Like, don't change who the Last Ronin is. It's so crucial to the Last Ronin character and his transformation. I know, it seems like common sense, but I've seen movies where the people making it feel like they have to put their fingerprint on it or something and make it their own. I've seen it happen, but I beg you, the story is already good. It's why the comic book sold out time after time. Don't with it. Just fill in the gaps so that everything cohesively ties together on screen. But that's it. Respect the audience. People are smart. They'll sniff it out if you screw with it. Number 4. Actors reprising their roles. One of the things I've seen thrown out there a lot, since even before this movie was announced, was that if we ever did get a Last Ronin movie, that whoever voices the last surviving turtle, the Last Ronin, should be a previous actor that has voiced that same turtle in a previous version of the Ninja Turtles. Specifically, the voice actor from the 1990 movie or the voice actor from the 2012 show are two names that I've seen thrown out there a lot. I won't go into specifics for those who still may not know who the Last Ronin is, but if you have read the comics and know which character I'm talking about, it would be wild to hear either of those two guys as the Last Ronin. Would definitely pull on the heartstrings. Another suggestion I've seen fans throw out there is bring back Judith Hoag, the original April from the 1990 Ninja Turtles movie. And it makes sense. She's the right age, as this is a story that's told 30 years in the future, and it's been about 30 years since the 1990 movie. And yeah, this makes sense.
You're telling me?
She's the iconic live-action April. It would absolutely be a big OMG moment. Number 5. Spend as much time as you can with all 4 turtles. So for those who haven't read the book, the Last Ronin story is about the last surviving Ninja Turtle. But in the book, they do spend a significant amount of time in flashbacks when all the turtles were still alive. It's actually where a majority of the big moments in the story occur. They should spend as much time in these flashbacks as possible. These will be the only times where all 4 turtles are together and will make the movie really feel like a Ninja Turtle movie, especially for like the type of casual fans that didn't read the book or that even knew about the Last Ronin. Plus, I feel like it'll make those big moments from those flashbacks even more impactful because it'll make us get a little bit attached to these turtles, which will make the impact of what happens to them even more devastating. But yeah, before that happens, seeing them interact with each other and seeing their reactions to the events as they occur, which the comic actually didn't spend a lot of time in, would be pretty cool. Also, these scenes with all the 4 turtles together should be used heavily in the promotional material. This will get everybody really excited in my opinion, as it's been a while since we've seen a good live action version of the turtles on the screen. As for when we're in the future with just the last surviving turtle, the comic version of the story did have him talking to the ghost of his dead brothers a lot. So in the movie, this could also be a good way to keep the 4 turtles on the screen as much as possible while still telling this Last Ronin story. But yeah, this whole topic about spending more time with all 4 turtles, I feel like it'll definitely help with the success of the movie. But let's go ahead and move on over to the next item. Number 6. Now, one thing that keeps popping into my mind since this movie was announced was how the heck are they going to fit all this into one movie? This is either going to have to be a lengthy, tightly packed movie so that everything can fit, which will give it a pretty long runtime, or it's going to have to be split into 2 parts, kind of how they did with the Dark Knight Returns animated movies. I believe that miniseries, which it's based off of, had 4 issues, where The Last Ronin had 5, so maybe splitting up the Ronin story into 2 movies makes sense. But then again, splitting them up also seems risky. What if for whatever reason the second one never pans out? Kind of how we never got a sequel to Batman vs. the Ninja Turtles. That kind of scares me. So yeah, I think maybe a lengthy, tightly packed, single movie might be the way to go. Because who knows if the Turtles will ever get this opportunity again. The thing is, that's going to be a lot of information to pack into one movie, so we'll see how they pull it off. Number 7. Don't rely so heavily on CGI. And yes, I'm talking about the turtles as well. We'll get to that at the end. But here for number 7, I'm talking more about the environment. Obviously, the story is going to be set in a future dystopian New York. So the environment is gonna need some CGI. But I hope they actually build sets that are complemented by some CGI. But don't rely so heavily on it. And go to actual locations too. It's always nice when you get these grand shots of real locations instead of filming everything on a green screen. But yeah, overall blending some practical with a little bit of help from CGI along with like a lived-in set design that looks grungy, cluttered, and dirty will really make this movie feel how a Dark Ninja Turtles universe should feel. Number 8, and this next one is less of what I wish is in the movie and more of how I hope they release the movie. First up, I hope this thing releases in theaters. As of right now, we don't know if this thing will drop in theaters or if it'll drop on the home of the Ninja Turtles, Paramount Plus. Me personally, I hope it drops in theaters so that soccer moms that don't know what Ninja Turtles The Last Ronin is freak out when the Ninja Turtles get brutally murdered on the big screen. Just kidding, but I hope it does drop in theaters because I do feel this is going to be a big moment in pop culture history and it should be a shared experience. Now, with that said, if it does release in theaters, stay away from other big comic book movies. Stay away from Marvel, DC, might as well throw Avatar and Star Wars in there too. Stay away from them so that this movie makes the biggest financial waves possible. There's probably other bigger franchises as well that I can't think of, but you know what I'm talking about. Stay away from them. Try to get a release date that's not next to those other big comic book franchises. Number 9, end credits scene. I'll keep this one short and won't go too much into detail about what goes on in the comic, but if you've read the comic, you know it ends with a bit of a tease. In the book, it almost feels like how an end credits scene feels in a movie, so it's only natural that this movie should get an end credits scene and show the same thing that they showed in the book, even if they don't follow up on it, although I think they should. The Last Ronin Lost Years, which was the follow-up to The Last Ronin, would make a good follow-up movie. But even if they didn't make a second movie, it would still be cool to imagine that this Ronin universe would go on, at least in our heads, the same way the universe did in the comics. But yeah, they should definitely do the end credits scene. And lastly, number 10. You probably guessed it from the thumbnail, and this is the most important one of them all. The turtles need to look cool.
I like turtles.
And they should be actors/martial artists in rubber suits like they were in the 90s. They need to look something like the designs of those turtles from the original 1990 movie. Not the sequel, Secret of the Ooze, or the third movie, the first one. Make sure the turtles look cool like that. I don't think this is the time to start experimenting with like insane designs that don't even look like the Ninja Turtles. They have to come out of the block hot with some awesome designs that everybody loves. It'll be the first thing people start talking about when the first trailer drops, for better or for worse. They gotta stick the landing on it. Now, with that said, I do have like an add-on bonus wish list thing for this one, and this is probably super unlikely, but if they do end up looking like the 90s Turtles, one thing I've seen thrown out there by fans is that this should be a legacy sequel to that original 1990 movie. The only reason I say it's probably unlikely is because the 1990 movie rights, I think, belong to New Line Cinema, so Warner Brothers, and this movie is being made by Paramount, so I don't know, but maybe there's a way they can do it to where it's loosely connected to that original movie and just kind of ignore the events of Secret of the Ooze and Ninja Turtles 3. If that happens, then the stars have really aligned. But either way, I'm extremely grateful that this movie is even happening. Now we just gotta sit back and hope for the best. This is what we've all been waiting for as Turtles fans. Let's hope they get it right. But let me know down below, what are some of your wish list items for this movie? Maybe there's a particular director you want to see at the helm, or maybe a particular composer for the soundtrack. Either way, I think we can all agree that this movie has the potential to be the best Turtles movie of all time. Thank you everybody for watching. This is the Old Turtle Den. I will see you all in a little bit with another video. Take care.